What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled, but even more so, I'm appreciative, man. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you. So, Rico too smooth, right? He's found himself caught up in a little bit of controversy lately. You know, that back and forth, the disrespect of the southern side, not the other side, right? I know he was going at it for a while with Chito Ranas, or he made a diss record talking about Chito Ranas' deceased brother. And I think that was in retaliation for Chito Ranas getting out and disrespecting Lil TYS from the Sacramento area, a Northern California rapper that was murdered, you know, a couple years back or a year back. And I know these guys in Sacramento, they move as a force. You know, Northern California Sacramento rappers have always did it their way, have always said what they felt that they had to say. Now, I know Rico Too Smooth represents the Broderick area. And I did a lot of time with guys from Broderick. And, you know, Broderick, when I was locked up, they considered themselves the Bees, West Side Sacra. That's just how it was. Now, I've heard a lot about Rico Too Smooth, and I got nothing bad to say about him. In fact, I'm kind of impressed on his wordplay, and his music has elevated. He's definitely making noise in Northern California. That's just what it is. Now, there's a Southern California rapper named Rowdy Raxx. And the first time I heard about Rowdy Raxx was, you know, when Lefty Gunplay started to blow up, started to make noise in Southern California, became the face of LA, the self-proclaimed face of LA. I always thought Rowdy Raxx just was that much better. I thought Rowdy Raxx, you know, had good lyrics. I mean, he got down. He gets down in the booth, gets down on the mic, and has always struck me as a different type of Southern California rapper. He has a different type of influence, maybe more so a Bay Area style influence. He just always struck me as a different type of rapper. Now, he does say the N-word, you know, quite extensively in his music, and I don't condone or promote that. But at the end of the day, to each man their own. You know, that's kind of the thing nowadays. People are going to say what they say. They use buffer words. And it is what it is, man. I can't hate on the next man because of what he does or what he says. But at the end of the day, I either support it or I don't. Now, I support brown music. I support black music. I support white music. I support music as a whole, period. And when I see a brown man elevating the game and getting inside them rooms, man, kicking doors down, I got to support. Now, I know that there was a little beef or a lightweight beef. People were trying to spark it and pump it up between Lefty Gunplay and Rowdy Raxx, and they killed that noise quick. They decided to be men in that situation and make a music together and decide that they're not going to let the people dictate their program. They were going to show you how to program. And I respect that, man, coming from two individuals who it could quite easily have went left. You know, there's a lot of people that push their agendas and pump shit up because they like to see drama. They like to see frivolous bullshit. But they weren't going out like that. Rowdy Raxx decided that if for no other reason, he was going to put the bullshit to the side. Lefty did the same thing, and they made some hot songs together. It's just what it is, right? Meanwhile, Rico Too Smooth is making a lot of noise in Northern California, and he's being recognized, finally, for all the work that he's put in musically. Now, when it comes to Northern California rappers that are in the mix, that are lightweight gangbanging or active on the streets, allegedly, you know, Rico Too Smooth is one of the names that comes up. And I think he's focused on a little bit more than, say, people like Lazy Boy or Big Tone or Osito. And the reason why they focus on Rico Too Smooth is because of his ethnicity. Because he is a brother man that is, of course, in a Mexican gang. Because he is black and displays the characteristics of a brother man, but also of a Mexicano. I think this is why people focus on him. It's always about race. It's always about color. It always comes down to it. Either you get a little bit more attention in the positive or you get a little bit more attention in the negative. It's unfortunate that's the way the people are, the way people work. It's unfortunate that's the way the people view things. But it is what it is. You know, let's keep it real. You know, Rico Too Smooth does rap good. He does keep them old school beats pumping. He has a certain flavor about himself. But at the end of the day, he gets a lot of attention because he's black, man, and he's from a Norteño gang. It's unfortunate, but like I said, that's just the way it is. So lately what's been going on is a lot of disrespect between Northern California rappers and Southern California rappers. They just can't get enough. Hey, but quietly as it's kept, they know the recipe. They got this shit going because it's getting them popping. It's getting some of these lesser known rappers out there. They're starting to become household names or recognized. People are starting to say, people in Southern California, well, who are these vatos? Let me listen to their music. All right, they go a little bit. And people in Northern California can't deny the fact that they've always tripped out on the Southern California rappers. Now, in Southern California, rap has changed drastically. Northern California rap has remained the same. See, Northern California rap has always been Bay Area influenced. They've always had those top-notch mob music beats. And they've always rapped a certain way. That's why they were always looked at as mayateros, or people that were trying to act black, or people that were sympathizing with the black cause. When quietly as it's kept, that's just been the Northern California flavor, period. It's a very urban based. It's based off of interactions amongst the people that you're around, right? So at the end of the day, I don't hate on no one because they act a certain way, because to me, there is no way to act black or act brown. You are what you are. You're a product of your environment, and you rock how you rock, man. And I don't see nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with your rap style. You are who you are. You know, people that hate on it will say, man, I don't like them vatos from up north. They try to act black. Meanwhile, he's bumping E40. Well, what's E40 trying to act? You know, come on now. There is no way to act a certain way. You act accordingly. That's how I learned the game. You know, I was laced up to act accordingly in every situation, and that's just what it is. Now, in Southern California, rap has changed drastically over the years. You know, if you remember and you recall back in the days, and I've listened to Southern California rap since the beginning, man. The Clica Ones, Mexican Power, Proper Dose, Brownside, all these different rappers, Night Owl, Nightmare, Little One, you know. When these rappers first came out, even Little Rob, they always kept it straight Chicano, straight Cholo, old school, back to the roots. A lot of the oldies beats, a lot of the cruising lowrider beats, and they just flip them, take those beats, the I'm Your Puppet songs, the 18 with a bullet, and throw some rap lyrics on it, and toma, there you go, man. Southern California Chicano rap. That's basically what it was. But lately it has changed. The game has changed drastically, like I said, and now they're getting mob beats. Now they're getting in the booth and they're really doing it, man. And I'm not saying that they're influenced by Northern California, not at all, not whatsoever. I think they're more influenced by the generation, the genre, and what's going on around them. And, you know, people change. They elevate the game. You know, that's just how that is. Like I said, where I grew up in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, the traditional oldies rap is what I used to call it, the Chicano rap. I liked it. I was into it. But at the end of the day, man, I understand that the game does change. You know, advancement demands change. And that's just what it is. So I'm not going to say who's trying to act like who's trying to be like who, because that's furthest from the truth. Everyone's just doing their thing now and everyone's getting the bag, and I'm happy for them. Okay, so with this back and forth North and South beef that's going on, all sparked between Lazy Boy from Sanjo and Lefty Gunplay from LA, you know, a lot of other rappers have gotten involved. And I think the catalyst of this shit was that No Jumper interview, but even so, more so the catalyst was the disrespect by people such as Bozo the rapper, Lefty Gunplay, Lazy Boy, bands from Santa Rosa. These individuals, man, that have platforms, that have voices, have chose to put it on wax, have chose to go in the booth and disrespect each other. I know there was a unity song by the Norteños de Sacra and several other areas that was put out, not only to show canalismo and unity amongst the northern faction, but also, you know, to let them know that they roll strong, tight-knit, and that they were opposed to what the southern rappers were doing. Now, it's all rap. At the end of the day, it's all music. You're going to rock with your side no matter what. You know, it's funny, Lazy Boy came out with the song, and the exact same day, Little Weirdo dropped the song. And man, the comments went wild. There was people supporting Little Weirdo from down south, people supporting, you know, Lazy Boy from up north. And it went from music, listening to good music, to gangbanging, hardcore gangbanging, but on the internet, you know, so that doesn't count for really nothing, but it is seen and heard. And you could see people were choosing up and picking sides, not based on the lyrics or the way the fucking Vato moves, but more so based on their area and staying true to their fucking environment. That's just how it is. Now, there's been a lot of podcasters that ask mysterious questions. And one of the main questions that gets asked all the time is, will Northern California rappers and Southern California rappers ever integrate? Will they ever collaborate? Will they ever come together and drop a song together or make an album together? Now, if you recall back in the days when the Crips and the Bloods did it with Banging on Wax, They were smart. They were innovators of the time. They took two rival gang factions, two groups that hated each other. And believe me, I've seen Crips and Bloods go at it in real life. I didn't just watch colors and see it from a distance. I actually lived it. I was right there in Southern California, locked up, incarcerated when Crips and Bloods used to take each other's heads off. That's why I called the Crips. They were a killer, a treacherous group at that time. These guys would not allow Bloods to function. Bloods would not allow Crips to function. They was on site. You know, I was there during them times, and I was also there during the transition of the truce when they started to function on yards together, albeit within their own cars, but there still was tension, okay? And I'm talking about old school gangs like the 60s, the A-Trays, the Mad Swans, you know, Neighborhood Pyru, you know, Two P's and a B. I'm talking about Fruit Towns and Hats Gang and Watts, you know, Grape Street Watts and Bounty Hunters and Imperial Courts. And I mean, we're talking about real shit, real life Crips and Blooded. It was happening, okay? But they were smart enough to recognize that they could capture and enrapture a bigger audience by doing an album like Banging on Wax, by coming together. And they were smart the way they did it. They didn't necessarily collab and do songs in the booth together, but they dropped 5 or 6 songs on the Crip side and 5 or 6 songs on the Blood side. And that was smart because they came together on this compilation and still did their thing. Now, I had always thought, what if the Norteños and the Southsiders decided to do this? This would be something smooth, something cool. There could be a big bag generated, a lot of noise, and it just be a big thing. But even more so, what if they actually came together, two people opened up the doors and came together in the booth? What would happen? Well, Rowdy Raxx was asked a question that so many Southside rappers and Northside rappers have been asked, you know, over the years. And one of the main things he was asked was, would he be willing to do a collaboration with a Northern California rapper? And he gave Rico Too Smoove his flowers. He recognized that Rico Too Smoove is actually making noise and is one of the better Northern California rappers out there. And Rowdy Raxx, in true fashion and form, how the type of person he is, a very outspoken, a very independent person, said, hey, I would have no problem with it. Of course, there's a lot of shit, a lot of things behind the scenes, a lot of politics that would come into play. He wouldn't just do it just to do it, because that could put him in bad standings or in a bad situation. But he would ask the powers that may be, make sure that everything was cleared. And no, he wouldn't object to ever doing a song with a Northern California rapper such as Rico Too Smoove, just based on the fact that he knows the bag when he sees the bag, and he knows talent when he sees it. Hey, you know what? That's just a man being a man, standing on his own 2 feet, saying, you know what? I really got no issue with them vatos like that. You know, if we could do music, we could do music. Now, there's 2 factions within the South and the North that I'm noticing in the rap game. Okay? I don't want to just put some new shit out there like I'm just making conspiracy theories up. But true story, man. There's 2 factions. There's the faction of Southern California rappers that are actually disrespecting the North and going at it with them on wax. And then there's the faction that could care less. People like Sad Boy Loco. I just dropped a video yesterday when, of course, Compa Raider tried to bring up disrespecting Norteños. He didn't want no part of that. He said, hey, Holmes, I leave the politics in prison. I'm out here just trying to enjoy myself and take a shot, bro. And that, basically, he was letting them know, first of all, he's not trying to speak on any of the propaganda. But second of all, he's not trying to deal with that, bro. Real true Sureños or Southsiders from Southern California pay no never mind to what's going on up north, because they're not there. Those are not their enemies on the streets. They're not gangbanging like that against each other. They could care less, bro. They never run into each other. So why woof or disrespect someone that you're never going to really see in real life? It's true stories. Now, I understand behind the walls, it's a whole different story. Behind the walls is where that is your opposition. That's where people pose a threat. That's where it goes down. But even now, in this day and age where we live, that's not what's happening behind the walls. Behind the walls, the collabos have already taken place to the point where they are functioning together on yards, hand in hand, getting along, playing handball together, you know, doing pegadas and things like that together. So people can't say, hey, behind the walls, man, you know, it's dangerous, it's guerra, because it really isn't. It's an end of hostilities, you know. It's a half 60. It's a soft defensive stance. Everybody in there is functioning, just trying to do their program. So on the streets, it tripped me out that people refuse to do the program, but it is what it is. The streets is a little bit more street gang mentality, whereas in prison, it's prison gang mentality. Politics rules supreme. But still, the inside controls the outside. So there's no way you could just jump the gun and go do a collaboration with your mortal enemy without getting it cleared, okay? Without getting a verde on it. You know, they got a green light that shit, so you can do that. So when Rowdy Raxx was asked, yeah, he was smart enough to say, you know what, I would have to get it cleared and whatever, but I'm not opposed to it. And I recognize that. Now, the other fact, now, like I said, there's two factions on the North and the South. There's the faction of Northern rappers that are actually indulging in the frivolous wordplay and the back and forth, the disrespect. And then there are those, man, that want nothing to do with it. You know, people that are like, people like Big Tone and people like GB, who really ain't got no time. They're not on they're on kill time, on kill mode. They're trying to kill it in the booth. They ain't really got no time to play that disrespect back and forth. These are true soldados, man, that will keep it in the streets, keep it in the, you know, in the gutter, man, rather than just disrespect someone who they really ain't going to trip on. Now, I understand what comes into play is the upstate Southsiders, and they feel some type of way, and the North Angels feel some type of way about them. So they're going to keep disrespecting each other and doing what they do. It's been happening. It's going to stay happening. No one can stop that. So anyways, Rico Too Smoove put a statement on his IG, dropped a post. And in that post, he was asked, basically, he responded to Rowdy Raxx, would he do a collaboration or a song with Rowdy Raxx? Which I respect Rowdy Raxx for keeping it real, keeping it G, man, and saying, yeah, he would. He has no problem with it. Why not? You know? And he responded, Rico Too Smoove, by saying, there's been too much bloodshed between our two groups, but respects, you know? But basically, he recognized it. He's seen it. He's seen what Rowdy Raxx was talking about. And I know deep down inside, you know, Rico wouldn't be opposed to that. I know he'd be like, damn, there's a big ass bag out there, bro. If anyone could do it, he would want to do it with someone who has talent, someone who could really rap, someone like Rowdy Raxx who's really putting on out there and really doing it the right way, right? But at the end of the day, like Rico said, there's been too much bloodshed. Now, this is propaganda. There has been a lot of bloodshed. But if the powers that may be can put that to the side and decide for another grown man, hey, enough is enough, then you should be able to decide and let that go as well. This is the thing. There has been too much bloodshed. There has been a lot of bloodshed. But when is enough enough? When are you going to take or make that next move to change that? See, things change. That's like people that have a family, man, and in their family, no one's ever graduated high school or went to college. Then they're the first one, and then they start a different type of trend. They start a different type of linea, a different timeline. Whereas now, other family members start to do that because they're following in their footsteps. See, when you followed in the footsteps of fucking Guerra, then that's what you know. But now is the time for people to follow in the footsteps of something different. You know, it's crazy. Rowdy Raxx was willing to do that. Said he was down. Where, of course, Rico shut that down. But I know deep down inside, Rico Too Smoove is the type of individual to say, you know what? Maybe so. And I understand what he said. There's too much bloodshed. Okay? There has been a lot. But how much have you really been involved in? How much have you just heard but not seen? You know, a lot of people will live off the backs of the founding fathers or what's happened before them. It used to be the same way with me. Fuck them vatos, homes. Why? I didn't even know them. You know, oh, because the homie said this and the homie said that. The homie also fucked my old lady. The homie also fucking told on me. The homie also turned his back on me when I got locked up. Them same homies that gave me up and told me, hey, these vatos are no good. No, they were the ones that were no good. Let's just keep it real. That's on a personal tip. That's true stories, right? I've come to find out some of your closest friends will become your worst enemies, and some of your worst enemies will become your closest friends, your allies. I've realized that in life. That's part of life in general. You'll figure that out for yourself at one point in time. You know, I figured that out on Tears in the Hole when I'm locked up and the only ones that shot me a sopa or a piece of soap was a Southsider. I realized that on the streets, man. One time when the Africanos fucking pushed up on me, you know, there was some personal shit. Some black dudes were tripping off me. Not because on some racist shit. They were just tripping on me on some gang shit, right? And man, there was a couple Southerners right there. We were at Walmart. I'm going to tell that story one day. They pushed up, backed my play. There's been a lot. I've had the Africanos back my play against Southsiders, man. It's went every way. I respect every man for helping a man in his time of need. You know, so I understand where Rico's coming from, shutting that down. And I think that's more so just trying to be a part of the homies and the cause and not wanting to go against the grain. See, there's a lot of vatos that don't want to go against the grain. They're too scared or they don't want to take the initiative to be that first one. But just like Lazy Boy said, he was the first. Even though he wasn't the first active norteño to actually go on No Jumper, that's the way they spit it. That's the way they put it out there, pushed it out there. That's the way Adam 15 pushed it out there, right? He was so proud of himself for opening them doors and doing that. And of course, then bands showed up and whatever. so on and so forth. We'll see who pops up next, right? But the thing is, it makes you feel good to be an innovator, to be someone who, man, sets a precedent and does something different. Rowdy Raxx, like he said, man, he was for it. Rico shut it down. You know, like I said, there was a lot of bloodshed in the past, but ongoing, man, the only way to stop bloodshed and stop guerra, which is not good for business, which is not good for the bag, which is not good for your health, your safety and security, is to be the one to finally say, you know what, let me break these barriers. You know, it tripped me out when I seen Lefty gunplay, you know. Orderly Lefty, right? Hey, Lefty's crazy with that grill. Tell me that grill don't look funny. I'm not hating on Lefty. That motherfucker rocking a $150,000 grill, but tell me that motherfucker doesn't look too big for his choppers, right? Hey, and Lefty, grow to a rush out, home that clean shave shit. You look like fucking Quagmire, I say. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Lefty Gunplay. I'm just clowning, right? But real talk. When I seen Lefty Gunplay do an interview a while back when he first started popping, right? And the thing that stood out to me the most, man, it kind of like let me down as far as him being a person. You know, I got a lot of respect for what he's doing, man. But as a person and as a gang member, an ex-gang member that I was, that played the game to the T on some professional shit, didn't just hate on people because they weren't from where I was from, but handled business accordingly and then kept it pushing, right? And that's true, man. When I was active, I'd have never been on this YouTube shit. I'd have never even knew what YouTube was. I was too focused on the streets, too focused on my get down, too focused on what was going on to sit here and go back and forth in a live with what's considered the opposition, right? So anyways, I seen him ask the question, would he do songs with Northern California rappers? And he was like, fuck them fools. Man, I ain't fucking with them fools. You know, and then he, I think he kind of mid-sentence realized like, oh shit, wait up. And so he was like, you know, them fools are from up there. I ain't got nothing to do with them. They ain't got nothing to do with me. And he's like, and they asked him, would you go to Sacramento? And he was like, I ain't going to no fucking Sacramento. Fuck that. That's, you know what I mean? Then he was like, oh, I'll go up there and kick it with CML, Cash Money Lavish D, right? And I thought to myself, in prison, it's notoriously known that the Southerners, the Southsiders, go at it with the blacks. It's not an everyday thing like you think. It's not mortal enemies, but there's been a lot of incidences between brothers and Southsiders. Let's just keep it real in prison, right? We've even had a lot of people pushing that narrative on YouTube where they seem to get it twisted, you know, where people like Dubs, man, get pulled into the mix because he tells a story and it's like, hey, why are you trying to make it look like the Southsiders always won? He's just telling you about incidences he's been involved in, right? No racism there, no prejudices there, just keeping it real. And some people can't accept that, man. I've heard stories where the blacks got on the Southsiders' heads. I've seen it, you know, so I'm just telling you the truth. And to me, it's like, hey, these people, you just got out of doing 10 years in prison. These people were the ones you were going at it with. You guys were fighting with. Because there wasn't too much North and South going on in there because there was an end of hostilities during the time of Lefty's incarceration, right? So he couldn't have been doing that. Plus, he did so much goddamn shoe time. I don't know when he ever got a chance to hit the linea and really get into some guerra, right? But anyways, you know, for him to sit there and say, I ain't going to do nothing with another brown man, fuck that, they're from up there, but I'll do it with the brother quick. I'll go all the way to Northern California to pull up with the brother and chill and break bread and all that. Just seemed odd to me. Like, how can you hate on someone who you really never fought with, yet go break bread with the people who really was on your head like that? You know, and I'm not trying to cause division. I'm just saying it was odd to me. And I've always seen it that way with North and South. I didn't at one point because I was laced differently. I didn't see it like that. But now I do. You know, as I got older, and even if I was still in the mix, which I'm not, but if I was, I would say the same thing. Like, we're fighting amongst our own. We're fighting ourselves, right? No, we're fighting tres puntos, right? Nah, we're not fighting tres puntos. We're fighting ourselves, puto. And that's just what it is. So anyways, man, yes, man, Rico Too Smoove did clap back. He did respond. And he said, Spencer Holmes, but there's been too much bloodshed between our gente. And I can't do it, man. No, can't go. Red light, red light. It ain't going to happen, right? But then ended. And what was odd, and I like the best part of that was he goes, but I respect him, though. There's always a professionalism in the way you conduct your program. He didn't disrespect and said, fuck that Vato, fuck his side, fuck the other side. He didn't do none of that. He said simply, cannot do, bro, no can do. There's been just too much bloodshed between our people. And I think that there's a big distrust there. That's what I think the main thing is. Vatos wouldn't mind making some money and making some music together, opening them doors for all the gente, being the innovators of that. But there's a lot of distrust there, man. No one wants to get backdoored. You know, can you really trust that? You know, which booth would they pull up in? A neutral booth, you know? Homies trip. Sometimes, you know, two dudes could be on the same page, but the homies are not on either side. Anyways, it is what it is, man. I hope eventually the raza can get it together and they can break some barriers down. And I think music is the best way to do that. You know, they've already showed within the California prison system, man, that it could be done. That some semblance of getting along can happen. And it's been happening way before the end of hostilities when I did my time. Man, some of the most respectful guys that I ever met were Southsiders. Them vatos looked out for me. Hey, every day exchanging CDs, sopas, chopping up game. You don't understand, man, how it was. For those of you that wolf back and forth, you guys don't really know. You ain't never been nowhere. On them 4 yards and them 3 yards in the California system, it's always been respectful. Everybody knows what time it is. Everybody, north and south, will handle their fucking business violently and viciously. But it shouldn't have to come to that, man. It should always come to keeping it respectful and professional. And that's just what it is. With that being said, I hope that you move Smoove with a purpose. Let me know what you think, man. Do you think these north and south should collaborate? Or do you think they should just let it go and do their own thing? Hey, man, a movement is better when you come together for power. When you're separated, there's always going to be that separation, man, and that bag is smaller. Imagine how big that bag can do it. The brothers did it. When are the Mexicans going to do it? I guess we'll have to see. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people, man. Shout out to everyone. The gun.